a yacht with 7 swimming pools and a private submarine, a painting that cost $450 million hidden aboard that yacht for 3 years, a fake Versailles palace drenched in 22-carat gold, a private air fleet worth $1.5 billion with a throne room at 40,000 feet, and a city being built from nothing in the desert that will cost over $500 billion when finished. This is not a fictional empire. This is the actual, documented, verified portfolio of one man, Mohammed bin Salman, Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. Watch until the end, because what you are about to discover about the man who controls a sovereign wealth fund worth over $1 trillion will redefine your understanding of what wealth means when it operates at the level of nation-states. The yacht, 7 pools, a submarine, and a snow room at sea. Begin with the water, because that is where the scale of this empire first becomes visible. In 2014, while Bill Gates was reportedly in advanced negotiations to purchase a superyacht called the Serene, MBS moved faster and acquired the vessel for a price estimated between $350 million and $600 million, outbidding one of the richest men in technology for a floating palace that most billionaires could not afford to operate, let alone buy. The Serene is 134 meters long, 439 feet, and rises 7 decks above the waterline. It was built by Fincantieri, Italy's largest yacht builder, and it is not a boat in any conventional sense. It is a self-contained luxury compound that happens to move across oceans. The vessel contains 7 swimming pools. The primary indoor pool is 49 feet long, filled with filtered seawater and equipped with jet streams for resistance swimming. The pool area is engineered to transform its walls open to reveal the ocean, converting the enclosed space into an open-air balcony. The same area doubles as a dance floor for evening events and serves as a docking station for the yacht's tenders and its most extraordinary feature, a private submarine. The submarine is all electric, carries 5 passengers, dives to 160 meters, and operates for 8 hours on a single charge. When MBS wants to explore the seafloor beneath his yacht, he does not hire a dive team. He boards his own submarine and descends through a hatch in his own swimming pool. And then there is the snow room, an enclosed chamber maintained at -12 degrees Celsius that produces real falling snow aboard a vessel cruising through tropical waters. Rock-face walls line the interior, creating the sensation of standing inside a frozen cave while the Mediterranean sun burns overhead. A rooftop pool deck converts into a fully operational helipad. Below decks, the Neptune Lounge, known as the Nemo Room, features 2 massive glass windows, each 70 centimeters thick, that look directly into the ocean, allowing guests to watch marine life pass beneath the hull from the comfort of armchairs. A private elevator descends from the master suite directly to this underwater viewing room. The yacht also carries water sports equipment, a children's playroom, a piano bar, both indoor and outdoor cinemas, and formal dining for 24 guests. 54 professional crew members operate the vessel around the clock. The annual maintenance and operating costs for a yacht of this class typically run between $25 million and $40 million, a sum that most people would consider a lifetime fortune, spent annually to keep a single vessel seaworthy and staffed. Is a private submarine aboard a superyacht the pinnacle of luxury engineering, or has wealth at this level crossed into a realm that serves no purpose beyond proving it exists? Tell us in the comments. The painting and the palace, $450 million of art hidden at sea, and a fake Versailles on land. In November 2017, a small oil painting on walnut panel just 26 inches by 18 inches sold at Christie's auction house in New York for $450.3 million, making it the most expensive artwork ever sold at auction. The painting was Salvator Mundi, attributed to Leonardo da Vinci, depicting Jesus Christ blessing with his right hand and holding a crystal orb in his left. The buyer's identity was concealed for months until investigative reporting revealed that the painting had been acquired on behalf of MBS. But the most remarkable detail was not the purchase price. It was where the painting was kept afterward. For nearly 3 years, the most expensive painting in the world was stored aboard the Serene, a superyacht exposed to salt air, marine humidity, and the constant vibration of diesel engines. Art conservators expressed horror at the conditions. A 500-year-old painting on walnut panel requires precise temperature and humidity control to prevent cracking, warping, and paint degradation. Storing it aboard a yacht is the equivalent of keeping a Stradivarius violin in a garage. As of early 2026, the painting has been moved to a climate-controlled vault in Geneva, awaiting installation in a private museum that has not yet been built. The Salvator Mundi remains one of the most debated works in art history. Some scholars question whether Da Vinci painted it at all, but the debate over attribution is academic. The financial fact is absolute. MBS paid $450 million for a painting smaller than a kitchen window and then stored it on a boat. On land, the extravagance matches the sea. In 2015, MBS purchased Chateau Louis XIV for approximately $301 million, making it the most expensive residential property sale ever recorded. The chateau sits on 57 acres near the original Versailles and was built between 2008 and 2011 specifically to replicate a 17th century French palace using authentic materials and construction techniques. Between 120 and 200 artisans worked daily for 2 years, applying 2-2-carat gold leaf to railings, doors, fountains, and ballroom walls. Hand-painted frescoes modeled after the work of Charles Lebrun, the artist who decorated the original Versailles, cover the ceilings. The estate includes a moat filled with fish and a glass aquarium chamber beneath the water that functions as an underwater meditation room. A wine cellar holds 3,000 bottles. 2 swimming pools, a squash court, a private cinema, and an underground nightclub surrounded by artwork complete the compound. The entire estate is controlled remotely via a smartphone app, a 17th century aesthetic powered by 21st century technology, owned by a man who already has palaces in his own country that are 73 times the size of the White House. The Flying Palace, a throne room at 40,000 feet, and a $1.5 billion air fleet. The Royal Air Fleet is valued at approximately $1.5 billion and includes multiple Boeing 747s, 787 Dreamliners, Airbus A340s, and Gulfstream executive jets. But the flagship of the fleet is the aircraft that has earned the designation Flying Palace, a Boeing 747 that has been stripped of its commercial configuration and rebuilt from the fuselage inward as an airborne seat of spot. Government. The aircraft contains a gold-plated elevator connecting its multiple decks, a feature that exists on no other private aircraft in the world. An onboard throne room allows MBS to conduct state affairs, receive officials, and project sovereign authority while cruising at 40,000 feet. Marble bathrooms, a full spa lounge, a medical bay, formal dining for 24 guests, a conference room, and a dedicated prayer room equipped with an electronic Qibla pointer that automatically adjusts toward Mecca, regardless of the aircraft's heading, complete the interior. Operating costs for a Boeing 747 of this configuration run between $30,000 and $50,000 per flight hour, meaning a single transatlantic crossing from Riyadh to New York costs approximately $400,000 to $650,000 in fuel, crew, maintenance, and operational overhead alone. The additional Dreamliners in the fleet are configured with similar luxury specifications, but optimized for longer range comfort on intercontinental flights. A Sikorsky S-92 helicopter provides short-range transport with a cabin engineered for silence, plush seating, and mood lighting that transforms a military-grade helicopter platform into a flying executive lounge. The fleet operates as a self-contained air transport network, any aircraft available at any time, any destination reachable within hours, no commercial schedules, no security lines, no interaction with any public transportation system at any point in the journey. When you control a sovereign wealth fund worth over $1 trillion, you do not fly. You deploy aircraft the way a navy deploys ships as instruments of logistics, power projection, and absolute independence from every system that ordinary people depend on. Is a gold-plated elevator aboard a Boeing 747 a legitimate tool of statecraft? Or is it proof that unlimited wealth eventually becomes indistinguishable from parody? Your perspective below. The party $50 million for 1 month on a private island. In 2015, before he became Crown Prince, MBS rented Velar Private Island in the Maldives for nearly a month at an estimated cost of $50 million. The island, already one of the most exclusive resorts in the world, was commandeered entirely for MBS and his entourage, with 300 resort staff supplemented by additional personnel flown in for the occasion. 150 models were reportedly transported to the island, each tested for sexually transmitted diseases before arrival, a detail that was leaked to the press and generated international headlines that MBS's team was unable to suppress. During the day, the island operated as a serene luxury retreat, caviar, champagne, private spa treatments, and individual villas spread across the resort's immaculate grounds. At night, the island transformed into a private mega club with live performances by Pitbull, Psy, and Afrojack artists flown in to perform for an audience of one royal client and his guests. The most extraordinary security measure was not the armed guards or the restricted airspace. It was the communications blackout. Every person on the island was required to surrender their smartphone and given a replacement Nokia 3310, a vintage handset with no camera and no internet capability. The measure was designed to ensure that no photographs, no video, and no real-time social media posts could escape the island and reach the international press. In an age where privacy is virtually impossible for public figures, MBS did not accept that limitation. He engineered his own privacy by stripping every person in his presence of the technology that makes modern surveillance possible. The Maldives event represents something more revealing than mere extravagance. It demonstrates the operational philosophy that defines MBS's approach to both luxury and governance: total control. Every variable managed, every risk mitigated, every potential leak eliminated at the hardware level. The same man who would later detain hundreds of Saudi princes and businessmen in the Ritz-Carlton Riyadh during a 2017 anti-corruption purge, extracting settlements reportedly totaling over $100 billion, had already demonstrated in the Maldives that his instinct for controlling environments was not limited to politics. It extended to every space he occupied, whether a private island, a palace, or a nation. The city, $500 billion, and a vision built from sand. And here the story shifts from personal luxury to something unprecedented in modern history, because MBS is not merely spending wealth, he is attempting to build a new civilization. In 2016, he announced Vision 2030, a national transformation plan designed to move Saudi Arabia away from its dependency on oil revenue and toward a diversified economy built on tourism, technology, entertainment, and renewable energy. The centerpiece of that vision is Neom, a futuristic city being constructed from nothing in the northwestern desert at a projected cost exceeding $500 billion. The development spans 26,500 square kilometers, an area larger than many sovereign nations, and includes projects so ambitious that they blur the line between urban planning and science fiction. Cinderella Island, shaped like a seahorse, is designed as a luxury marina destination with hotels, a golf course, retail centers, and a yacht club. Trojena, a ski resort being built at over 3,000 meters altitude in desert mountains, will feature a man-made freshwater lake, hotels with ski slopes integrated into their rooftop architecture, and will host the 2029 Asian Winter Games. And then there is the Line, perhaps the most audacious single structure ever proposed. A city 170 kilometers long and 500 meters tall, encased in mirrored glass, entirely car-free, connected by Hyperloop transit systems, and designed to house millions of residents in a continuous linear metropolis that stretches across the desert like a wall of glass reflecting the sky. The engineering challenges are immense. The cost projections are staggering, and the timeline is aggressive beyond anything conventional construction planning would consider feasible. Within Neom, MBS is constructing his own personal palace complex, described as the mother of all palaces, with 10 helipads, a private golf course, and private beaches on a scale so vast that the compound will reportedly be visible from space. This is in addition to his existing official residence at Al Yamama Palace in Riyadh, a complex spanning 4 million square feet, approximately 73 times the size of the White House, with over 1,000 rooms finished in Italian marble, gold leaf, and chandeliers large enough to illuminate ballrooms. The palace contains pools, a mosque, a cinema, and formal reception halls where MBS hosts heads of state and global business leaders. The personal net worth attributed to MBS ranges between $5 billion and $25 billion, but that number is functionally meaningless. When you control the Saudi Public Investment Fund, managing assets worth over $1 trillion, and the collective House of Saud wealth is estimated at $1.4 trillion, the distinction between personal wealth and sovereign wealth dissolves entirely. MBS does not own the kingdom's money. He commands it, and the difference between ownership and command in a monarchy is purely semantic. The question, Crown Prince or modern pharaoh? And here we arrive at the question that every asset, every palace, every project, and every extravagance in this analysis has been building toward, because Mohammed bin Salman is not simply a rich man, he is a head of state who behaves like a CEO, a monarch who operates like a venture capitalist, and a political figure whose personal consumption and national investment are so thoroughly entangled that separating the man from the state becomes impossible. The yacht, the painting, the chateau, the air fleet, the island party, the cars, these are personal assets. Neom, Vision 2030, Cinderella, Trojena, The Line, these are national projects funded by sovereign wealth. But the same person controls both categories. The same appetite for scale drives both portfolios. And the same fundamental question applies to everything MBS touches. Is this visionary leadership, or is it the most expensive vanity project in the history of civilization? The car collection illustrates the duality perfectly. MBS maintains a fleet that includes a Bugatti Chiron capable of 1,500 horsepower and a 0 to 60 time of 2.4 seconds, a Lamborghini Veneno Roadster, one of only 9 ever produced, valued at between $6.5 and $8.3 million, alongside armored Mercedes Maybach limousines, Rolls-Royce Phantoms, and 6-wheeled Mercedes G-Class desert vehicles designed for convoy operations across Saudi terrain. The collection is not driven for pleasure. It is maintained as a showcase stored in climate-controlled royal garages, each vehicle representing a specific function: speed, exclusivity, protection, or terrain dominance. The fleet is not a hobby. It is a taxonomy of power expressed through machinery. The supporters of Vision 2030 argue that MBS is doing what no Saudi leader before him has attempted, transforming a petrostate into a diversified global economy before the oil runs out. The critics argue that the transformation is funded by the same authoritarian control that imprisoned dissidents, allegedly ordered the murder of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, and consolidates power in the hands of a single prince whose personal consumption is indistinguishable from his public investments. Both arguments contain truth, and the scale of MBS's empire, personal and sovereign combined, ensures that neither argument will be resolved in his lifetime. The projects will either succeed or fail. The city in the desert will either rise or remain a blueprint, and the man who controls it all will either be remembered as the leader who reinvented Saudi Arabia or the prince who spent $1 trillion trying. In either case, the scale of ambition is beyond dispute. No individual in the modern world commands more wealth, controls more territory, or builds on a larger canvas than Mohammed bin Salman. Whether that canvas produces a masterpiece or a monument to excess is a judgment that only the future can make. Is MBS the visionary leader transforming Saudi Arabia for the post-oil era, or is he a modern pharaoh building monuments to himself with a nation's wealth? Your verdict in the comments. The empire of Mohammed bin Salman reveals 3 strategic truths about what happens when personal wealth and sovereign power merge into a single controlling authority. First, MBS demonstrates that at the level of nation-state wealth, the concept of personal ownership becomes meaningless. A yacht that costs $600 million, a painting worth $450 million, and a palace that costs $301 million are extraordinary by any individual standard, but they are rounding errors against a sovereign wealth fund managing over $1 trillion. The personal luxuries exist not as financial burdens, but as symbolic expressions of a wealth so vast that their cost is functionally irrelevant. Second, the Maldives Party and the Nokia 3310 protocol reveal that for MBS, control is not a political tool. It is an operating system applied with equal discipline to a private island and to a national economy, to a guest list and to a geopolitical alliance. Third, Neom and Vision 2030 represent the most ambitious bet in modern economic history. that a single leader can spend over $500 billion to build a post-oil civilization from sand and ambition alone, and that the same authoritarian control that funds the construction will somehow produce the grounds, innovation, creativity, and human freedom that every successful modern economy requires. From a $600 million yacht to a $500 billion city, from a painting hidden at sea to a ski resort in the desert, from a throne room in the sky to a palace visible from space. What you have seen today is the complete anatomy of the most expensive lifestyle ever documented, a portfolio of personal luxury and national ambition so intertwined that separating the prince from the state is no longer possible. If this kind of deep analysis into the wealth, power, and hidden assets of the world's most powerful leaders is valuable to you, hit like and subscribe. In the next episode, we will take you inside the most secretive royal families in the Middle East dynasties, whose combined wealth exceeds the GDP of most Western nations, but whose identities remain hidden from the public eye.